Here, KSMO Radio, your hometown radio station. It's Intercounty Tuesday, and Heather has made her way in. And it's good to see you. Cold out there? That's what you said. It was cold.
Just a little, not too bad, right?
You're just not.
It's cold. I don't like the cold.
Well, yeah, I know. We already talked about this one week of winter. The snow over Christmas was great, but then we should start turning into spring January 2nd.
That's fun. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
And then be summer January 15th.
I'm fine with an extended spring.
Oh,
you don't have to jump right.
6-month spring.
Yeah, let's have a longer fall and longer spring and much shorter winter.
I see. So we go to fall. Well, fall, it does pretty well go to December 21st.
It does.
I don't know how much you can do with that one.
I know.
Man, anyway, but nonetheless, good to have you here.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Anyway, Happy New Year to you and your family. Hope all went well for the holidays.
2025, how does that even
2025 has not been off to a good start, though, as far as school is concerned for a lot of people. And and I know we're going to talk a little bit about something here in a minute, but I before we do anything about that, we have to stop and let's talk about the guys out there and the girls out there that are doing the job keeping the electric on. Now, we know we had an ice storm, and it was a pretty thick ice storm.
We had a lot of ice. You guys especially over in this area.
Yeah, a lot of ice. There was a lot of little outages, but Intercounty got people back on just as quickly as possible. I know our transmitter went off for about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
Guys got it back up.
Good.
But I wanted to, first off, how does Intercounty prepare? They know it's coming, okay?
Right.
So, I mean, you get everybody on call, and I get all that stuff. But how do they prepare? I mean, they know it usually about a week out. They're talking about an ice storm. Now, I'm pretty sure that at that time, you start thinking about, okay, who's going to be in Mountain Grove? Who's going to be in Rolla? Who's going to be available here? And start thinking about it, and then just get ready for the phone calls because you know they're going to start coming.
Right. So we talk about, hey, Intercounty is always available nights, weekends, holidays. There's always people on call in each area, out of each warehouse. But when we see weather like this coming, it's not just like, oh, man, you got the cruddy on call.
Yeah, you got the bad weekend, man.
You got the bad weekend. Everybody's sort of, it's kind of all hands on deck. You know that if the weather's going to be bad, they're ready. They've blessed their families' hearts because they know that, hey, Dad's going to be probably working this weekend or the next several nights or whatever it might be. So,
not in the best conditions.
Not even close to best conditions.
I mean, we all know it was raining. It was thunder ice at times.
Yes, yeah. So the guys know it may not be your week to be on call or your weekend, but they know when a storm like this is coming. It's sort of all hands on deck. You've got staging. You know who's going to be sort of answering calls out of what warehouse. The guys make sure their trucks are stocked up, that there's plenty of bottled water and some snacks because they know they're going to be out working, but also the equipment that they're going to need. Should we go ahead and load a trailer with some poles? Do we need to make sure we have what on the trucks? So,
I would assume extra pairs of gloves and things because you're going to get wet.
Absolutely, yep. And they've got wet weather gear, and so they want to make sure they have that. Sort of like how we tell people to prep at home for a storm, they have their own way to prep for a storm and kind of be ready so that when the call does come in, they're showing up, they're getting in the rig, and they're able to head out.
So let's talk a little bit about now, because Intercounty now has a number of tools to help people if their electric goes out. Now, obviously, if you have your cell phone and hopefully the cell tower didn't go down, but you can go onto your smart hub and you can find out if there's outages in your area. And more than likely, you're going to find out that, yes, you're just part of the outage that is in your area. Or if you don't have it, like in our case, the tower area was out, the station was still on, we could go online to Smart Hub and I could tell immediately, we got an outage out there.
Yeah. Smart Hub's a really great tool, and we talk about it, seems like every month, but still there's people that are like, what's Smart Hub? We don't know.
The application of it in a time of emergency.
Right. It's a great tool, and not only to check your outages, and you can do that from our website too. There's an outage map you can look at and kind of see outage numbers, but reporting your outage, and we had a lot of members report their outage through Smart Hub this go round. as you can imagine, there's only a limited number of phone lines that come in. And so when there's a bigger outage, sometimes it's difficult to get through the call center to be able to report your
Sure.
outage. And if you have Smart Hub, you open your app, it's directly related to your location, your account. You can report your outage. There's a place for
Right.
notes
It
there.
says right up there, it says report an outage. Just click on it.
Yep. You can add notes if there's anything that you want to add there. There's also a spot for your phone number. It will populate with the most recent phone number we have on file for you. But if I could tell you anything, I would tell you, please make sure that phone number is accurate. There are times when we think we've got stuff back on and we'd like to just give you a call and say, hey, we just want to
Verify.
make sure you're all good. And if that's not a good phone number and we don't know for sure, then we're sending somebody all the way out when it could have just been a phone call. So please make sure when you report it over Smart Hub that number is current.
Okay, so if you are reporting an outage, I remember one time that when we had an issue, they wanted to know my poll number, and at the time, which is good. But if you have all the information from your bill in front of you, it's always, if you're calling in, it's always good to have that because then they know exactly where the outage is.
Right. Your map location number, that is a number that we assign your location in our system. That's kind of how we map out everyone. If you're reporting it on Smart Hub, that's already linked to your
Right.
location, so you don't have to know it. But if you call in and you have your map location number, that's huge. If you don't have it, it'll take a little bit longer on the phone.
Right.
But we can look it up by name, by address. There's a number of ways we can look it up, but
But I was just saying, if you have your bill handy, you know where it is, go grab the bill, give them that
Yeah.
location. It saves a lot of time.
it does. It does. And it makes sure, when you look up by name, there might be multiple members with the same name. So then you're verifying by address. And some people, maybe they just have a mailing address, a P.O. box, and they don't have their
Yeah.
service address listed right. Or, there's a number of things that
And
could
we've
make
had
it take
address
longer.
changes in Dent County.
Yeah, you guys
numerous
have
times.
numerous. Yeah. So having that information from your bill handy when you call in definitely will make that call a lot faster.
Speed it up very quickly, and then they know exactly where it is.
Yep, that's right.
So you're not talking about, well, it's somewhere between here and there. It's somewhere between the last outage you called and my poll number or my map number
Yeah.
that I'm giving you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you could call and report your own, we understand that there's times where maybe you have an elderly parent that you're trying to report the outage for. If you're doing that and you're calling, it's really important to know that information too, because sometimes we'll get a call and we'll say, well, mom lives down Dent County Road, such and such. It's the blue house after the fork in the road. When our dispatch team is trying to take these outage calls and get our guys coordinated in the field, it's really hard and they're not familiar with every
Right,
area. So any exact information that you could give is going to be really helpful.
And for businesses that are out there doing a DBA, your bill may be coming to this name.
Right.
And then you're telling them, well, I'm with so-and-so carpentry. And, okay, the operator's going, we don't know who that is.
Yeah,
Because that's not your corporate name.
right.
So please try and get all that information ahead of time, know where it is, write it down, put it on the refrigerator with a big note. It always helps, especially when there's ice storms in the area.
Yeah.
And it really will come in handy if you have to call in. Like you say, though, if you are going on the Smart Hub, that information pre-populates because you're using your account number
Right.
for Smart Hub.
Right.
And that makes it easier.
Yeah,
So there you go. There's another reason to have Smart Hub. Makes it easy.
it does. Yeah.
Very good. Plus, you can also, while you're there online, you can check things out. You can check your usage out. You can go through, what else are you going to do in the dark? You may as well be looking at your Smart Hub and going through all the different options that you have.
Yeah.
What a great time.
We've had
consumer.
several members this week talk to us about the graphing feature as far as usage and temperature, and that it really is handy. A couple of the ladies, they had just stumbled across it and, hey, I didn't know you guys had this and this is really great. It's good to hear that feedback, but if you're a visual person, even if you're not a visual person, these graphs are really handy. I'll tell you, it's been cold. We mentioned that. When bills come out, I promise you we will have multiple calls because people will be concerned that there's something wrong with their bill, something wrong with their meter, because there's no way I could have used this much. And seeing that graph really helps because it overlays your usage for each day with the temperature for each day. And it's really easy to see the correlation when the temperature is really low. That's when your usage is the highest. And then as the temperature comes up, the usage goes down. That indicates weather-related usage.
Sure.
Not, I mean, if the temperature was coming up and the usage was still staying high, okay, there's an issue. Is
But
a
there-
well pump running all the time? Is a
Right.
water heater element bad?
Right.
What's going on because the usage should have went down when the temperature came up?
So the thing is, when your bill will the more ideal the temperature is between basically 50 and 80. That's prime. That's perfect. Your bill should be the lowest. You're not
Right.
going to use as much air conditioning. You're not going to use as much heating. When you start getting down into that 30, 20, 10, 0.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to really, if you have an electric furnace, you're going to use it a lot. If you're going to have even a propane or a natural gas furnace, your fan has to go. So you're going to still be burning more electric. You're probably going to have more lights on because you have darker days most
Yeah.
in front of you. And many people will use accessory heaters. We're going
Yes.
to talk about that in a minute as
Yeah.
well. Because I've seen people with one in every room.
Oh,
Oh, gosh, you don't know what you're doing. you're killing
that's
yourself.
going to hurt.
But when you get too high on the temperature, like 95, 100 degrees, then you can go right back into a little higher bill again because your air conditioner has to work harder. You know, so there's that
Yeah.
sweet spot, like we always talk about on the bat. You hit the bat just perfect. You know, you don't even feel a ball hit the bat. It just takes off. Well, your electric bill doesn't feel as much either when you hit that sweet spot between about
The weather.
55 and 80. That's the ideal times. And no humidity would make it even better.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But,
Now, you said
but
I
we
was
are in
picky.
Missouri. I know we're really going out there on a limb, but
Yeah.
the idea is that yes, you can actually control a lot of your own electric usage. And then also we talk about it, not part of what we're probably going to talk too much about today, but obviously people will be experiencing it. Insulation,
Yeah.
door leakage, window leakage. If you didn't feel it when it was 0, either you're numb,
Or it's good.
numb from the cold, or it's good.
Yeah.
You know, but if you do notice that you're feeling it, hey, I'm sitting here in this chair and I'm getting this cold air blast, you got a leak somewhere.
Yeah. And most people, if they take just a few minutes to think about it, they know where the drafty spots are in their home. Most of the time, they know what needs a little attention. It's just getting the time and getting it to the top of that list to get fixed.
sure,
You know,
sure.
the caulking around your windows and the weather stripping around your doors. But also, you know, we talk about the cold, we talk about the snow. There's not been a whole lot of school.
Well,
And so there are
What?
kids home that are not normally home, which means
well, and first off, the long holiday break. That's
Right.
one thing. The extended holiday
Yeah.
break with the bad weather. Obviously, we talk about the snow and ice storms. We all know in the area, we all live in a rural area. And for those people who are driving through town say, I don't know what you're talking about, my street's clean and everything else. Those gravel roads do not hold heat. Okay, listen, I'm going to put it bluntly. They don't hold heat. So when you have ice that gets packed down, refreezes, becomes slick, you could go on there one day and throw salt down. It looks like it's melting. You're going to go great. We could go tomorrow's going to be perfect. You go out the next day and it's all a sheet of ice again because it melts, then refreezes. The salt, which you put down initially, has now been used. It's gone away. And now you have new ice on top of the old ice, which is probably even a little bit slicker.
Yeah.
And that's the problem we have in rural areas because a lot of county roads don't see sunshine at all during the winter at all.
yeah.
Makes it tough. Do you live on a road like that?
Yep, sure do.
Nasty. And you can think everything's good. You can see right where the roads are in the sunshine. They're not probably too bad on the upper end, and then all of a sudden you make that turn around a hill, and there's no sunshine that ever hits that sucker, and you have a nice ice rink. It's just waiting for you,
Yeah.
welcoming you with skates.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll probably rent you skates there too, but it's the case. And then you have got to be extraordinarily careful. Well, do you want a school bus with 35 children on it trying to hit that ice rink and have a problem? I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough call.
And it is a tough call. And I know that these schools, they want to go back to school too. You're going to be pushing graduation dates back.
Yeah. But with, we talk about the reason why school's been out, and I think most people understand that, but, you got to think about the extra usage that is going to be on your bill because of school being out for an extended period of time. The kids are in and out of the fridge more. There's more meals being cooked. There's gaming consoles that are on, or the TV's on, or
I mean, they're not studying?
Yeah, they're sleeping. I mean, there is a lot of sleeping going on. Not at night.
Yeah, not at night.
Yeah. But, it just, all these, I say little things, but some of these are big things. When you get your bill, you're going to see that. And Smart Hub, talk about it again. It's a great tool because you can kind of keep an eye on that daily or at least a few times a week and kind of see what's going on.
Right.
But
we always know summer usually is a little bump anyway because people coming in and out.
Yeah.
They're bringing food, they're bringing gifts, the door stays open, the furnace stays on more, or you got to get the heat back up to where it was. The ovens are on, everybody's cooking, everybody's partying, having a good time, and the Christmas lights. Okay, so you add all that up, yeah, you're going to get a little bump. That probably starts around Thanksgiving. Usually after the first of the year, that starts calming down, but if the temperatures, like they're talking about 0 to 10 for lows coming up next week, and then highs only around 20.
it's cold.
You're still putting the pressure on your furnaces and those auxiliary heaters that we love so much.
Oh, yeah, the space heaters. So,
You got to see the look.
it's like, where do you start? First and foremost, huge aspect of using space heaters is please make sure you're using them safely.
Right.
Regardless of how much electricity they're going to use and how much they're going to raise your bill, first and foremost, we want to make sure that you're operating them safely. That means making sure they're on a flat surface. That means making sure that you've inspected those cords before you started using them again this year. But also that you're keeping things away from them. Space heaters need space, and they are much more safe than they used to be. But they are still, that's a heating element, and however they might be advertised, we want to make sure that you're giving those space. You don't want to have drapes around them or a stack of newspapers piled up next to them.
Right. Much better than they used to be.
Much
though.
better.
They used to have that
Absolutely.
nice little coil in there, and you could see a fire almost right in front of your face.
Exactly. So they are safer, but you still got to give them space to breathe. And then also, don't leave those on if you're not at home. If you're sleeping, there's a fire risk associated with those. And we don't want to see anybody lose their home to fire because of a space heater. So don't leave them running if you're not in the room or if you're asleep. Hopefully, those are not your only source of heat. If it is, please reach out to us because maybe we can get you in touch with some assistance organizations in the area, get you a Roundup application, kind of help fix whatever the problem is that has gotten you to the point where that's your solution.
Only heat source. Yeah, and that is not a good way to have your only heat source. You definitely want to make sure your home stays warm, but that will be very prohibitive cost-wise because it does use a lot of electric.
Absolutely.
Says
No matter
1,500 watts on that, it's using 1,500 watts.
That's right. And sometimes they're marketed as an efficient space heater. Excuse me.
A lot of them are.
A lot of them are. They're marketed that way. We've seen the only uses pennies a day ads, but they don't tell you how many pennies a day,
Well, no.
and it adds up, and you could easily use one space heater, $40 a month or so extra on your bill just for that one space heater. So,
And I'll multiply that by the number of space heaters you may have.
and it really starts to add up, and then that really puts our member in a bind when they get that bill and it's double or triple what they were expecting. That's hard.
It really is. And the sad part about it is, and they have tried to have that to where you can have maybe 600 watts or 900 watts or 1500 watts and have that isolated. I'm not so sure that all works.
Yeah.
I think once you turn it on, it's 1500 watts. I just would never sit there and say, no, I guarantee you it's not. And then, too, the age of your space heater, and you got to watch out for that. And after a while, and you have to clean the filters on some of the new, more desirable, fancy, gourmet space heaters, we'll call it. They have air filters in the back. Did you clean the air filter? If not, it's working extra hard to blow that air. And guess what? That extra hard work, you're paying for that, too. No matter how you use your space heater, you're going to be ended up paying for it.
Yeah.
But those all are very, very troublesome. And the other troublesome is if you have that much dust that's getting into the back of your filter, you may have dust bunnies that can fly right into your unit. That's not a good idea either, because that dust bunny is like instant fire.
Yeah.
It may not last very long, but it may not take much
Right.
to catch a drape on fire, or like Heather was talking about, something around that space heater. If it ignites, it may catch something else on fire.
Yeah. So we just want to make sure you're operating those safely, but then also be aware of how much they could add to your electric bill, just so you're prepared, and not, kind of sticker shock when you get that bill, because it is tough. And we've had conversations with members, and we do every year. They think, well, this past summer was hot. It was so hot, and my bill was never this high. It was 100 degrees, and it was never this high. If you think about, for easy math, if someone keeps their home at 70 degrees and it's 100 degrees in the summer, you've got to condition that air 30 degrees to get it to where you want.
Right.
You're talking about weather being in the teens, let's say 20 degrees.
Or single digits.
Which it's going to be even colder than that. We're talking about 10 even. And if you're trying to heat it to 70 and it's 10, there's 60 degrees. Or even if it's 20 and you're trying to heat it to 70, that's 50 degrees. So, the winter, even though the summer may feel really hot and you know that your air's running a lot, the difference that you're trying to condition that air is greater in the winter when it's cold. And so that means those units are running longer. And that costs more.
Right, which is all why we come back to insulation and also keeping your home shut, when you have that heat on. And that's why usually in the holidays when people open the door, it's not like they're opening the door just to let them in. They're also letting that nice warm air out.
Yeah. And
it takes a lot to recover from that. One time, okay, not so much. Then the kids start coming in and out, in and out, in and out, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times. Or if you have a number of gifts you're bringing in, or even food you're bringing into a location, and somebody sits there and holds the door wide open so everybody can get in and out. You're just watching all that hot air go out to the outside. And you're watching that cold air come in. It's kind of like an in and out right there.
Yeah, just a big
Unfortunately,
exchange.
It's not going to help your furnace. It's not going to help your heating bill. It's not going to help your electric bill. It's not going to help anything. Space heaters or not, it's not going to help, because it's going to cool down that room greatly. The longer, exponentially, that you leave that door open, the faster your temperature is going to go down.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
And when you mentioned insulation, this is not a great time of year to be doing work like adding insulation in your attic.
Most people won't.
But this is a good time of year to recognize if you need it or not. We just had that snow, and I could tell you my neighbor's house, they have an attached garage, and I should have took a picture of this, but the snow was melted off the roof of the house, and you could tell exactly where the garage was at, and that the garage wasn't conditioned because the snow was still on the roof above the garage, but not on the house. Heat rises, we know that. And if the snow is melting off your roof, but not your neighbor's roof, or
You need insulation.
or parts of your roof. You know, maybe you had an addition at one point and it's got better insulation and you can tell because the snow's still there, but not on the older part of your house. Be paying attention to your roof when we get snow like this, because it does kind of point out whether you need insulation or not.
And it could be in just one location up in your attic.
It could, yeah.
You know, a matter of fact, that very thing, I saw it on my own home. Mm-hmm. I looked and I thought, there's one area. Why is that area not having any snow on it?
Yeah.
Just two little like strips, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, that should have plenty
Insulation may have
So I know where that
fallen.
is, and I'd have an idea why that happened. I had a leak, and we had to get our roof replaced, but I know that we had to have our ceiling replaced, and then it leaked again, and I'm pretty sure that insulation got wet, has fallen,
and just
and
not
it's
there.
not there.
Yeah.
So now we have a task this summer or spring, more likely, to get up there and get that insulation replaced.
Yeah. And it does help. Insulation is one of the, I say easiest, and I don't mean like the actual work involved
No.
easiest, but it's one of the best ways that you can make improvements to your home that will help with energy efficiency.
It's an investment in your home
It
that
is.
you will get back over
Absolutely.
time. Yeah, it may cost you some up front. Yes, it will. But when you get to let's just say it takes $50 off your bill a month. Well, okay.
That starts
Somebody might say that, well, that's not enough. I just paid $3,000 for that insulation. $50 off your bill a month. Now, let's just multiply that out by 12. And if my math is still good, I mean, they got that new math and
600,
everything else.
yeah.
I'm not so sure anymore. But anyway, it's $600 a year. It takes you 5 years to pay that back. But if you have extraordinarily weather, you might be saving more than $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So you might get a payback in less than 4 years based upon your insulation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I would call a bad return on your investment.
Yeah. And the comfort in your home too. I mean, you're going to,
Oh, yeah.
your home's going to feel cozier. You're going to feel warmer in your home because that heat's going to stay in.
Yeah. And the cool will stay in.
And the
as
cool
well.
will stay in. Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. So a lot of different things. The snow and the ice, and we spent a half hour on it. I think we probably burnt this dog to death. But it's very important. Take a look at this and make sure that you are seeing the things that we're talking about. Ice and snow on your roof. If you got great insulation, it stays there. Yeah, I'll grant you, when the sun comes out and starts melting it, it won't stay there.
Yeah.
You know, it will start to melt off, and then you can find out if your gutters are clogged up. So you got another issue there. But you can always find that out. That's number one. Number two, those space heaters. Please be extraordinarily cautious of overusing space heaters. Just not a real good idea. You know, if you have one that you need, hour here, hour there in this room, and in that room is portable, you move it around where you need it, great.
Yeah.
But if you just turn one on in the back room and walk away, and it's on for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
Big time. So if you do have an issue like that because your furnace is not working properly, please get in touch with Aaron County. They do have a program called Operation Roundup, which is incredible.
It is. It really
They
is.
can possibly help you out and get through that. Also, there are some issues with. You can also get in touch with LIHEAP through your South Central Community Action Agency. They have money there available as well. You know, so there are things that can help. There are agencies out there that can help with that as well. But
That's right.
don't sit there and think it's going to fix itself miraculously.
You got to put in a little effort.
Got to put in a little effort.
Yeah.
Speaking of putting in a little effort, I know
Very little effort.
very little effort, but I know that Inter County every year has a special essay contest for juniors only.
We do.
And normally it's at this time that you're addressing the students to let them know
Right.
about this essay. Unfortunately,
They've
for
not.
Inter
Yeah.
County, I'm not going to say for the kids, but unfortunately for Inter County, we haven't had that opportunity. We've had 7 straight days of off school that have been scheduled, or 6, depending upon your school.
Yeah.
6 or 7. Not even sure about tomorrow. It depends on the sun today. I'm hoping it'll be enough. But um, this doesn't change anything. It's still a February contest. Has to be in by a certain day in February, depending upon what the school tells you. But this essay contest is like winning the lottery
It is. That's absolutely right. So
for a kid.
For an adult, it would be like it's
Well, I mean, winning the lottery for a kid. For
Yeah.
an adult, it's like ooh la la.
Right.
You know, it's like winning a scratcher's ticket. Maybe
A good-
a expensive scratcher.
I was going to
ticket.
say that'd be a good one. So
Well, $10 scratcher ticket.
no, this is worth way more than $10.
No. A $10 scratcher ticket where you win like
Oh, I
$500,000.
gotcha. I'm like, now
not
Stan.
$1 scratcher ticket where you win 800.
Okay, I gotcha. So we have an essay contest every year, and we're in the schools right after they get back from Christmas break, talking to the kids, which, as Dan mentioned, has been extended, the longest Christmas
Guys
break
could go
ever.
door to door.
We could. I mean,
What else?
we got to
what
figure
else
out
you got to do?
which doors have juniors behind them. But so it is just for high school juniors, which is pretty unique for these students. They don't have to compete against other grades at their high school. They're not having to compete against students from other high schools.
Right.
We have 9 high schools in our service area, and we do a contest at each school. And what we do, it is an essay contest. We try to reel them back in really quickly after we say essay contest and we see half of them check out. Nobody wants to write an extra paper.
But it's not hard.
It's not. It's very short. It's 250 to 500 words. And I'll tell you, we've really tried the last several years to make the essays
Interesting.
more
More
enjoyable
opinionated.
to write. This is not a research paper. We're not asking the kids to write about deregulation or the electrical industry or the future of. We're asking them to kind of reflect a little bit and then put it in words
Put it in
on
their words.
paper. 250 to 500 words. These kids meet that word requirement in a page. So essay sounds way more intimidating than it actually is, because one page is not difficult. I would say one page is not difficult.
No, it's not. It takes a little thought, but mostly what Intercounty has done, especially in the last, I would say probably 5 years. I think it's probably a very close assessment, is allowing the kids to express themselves.
Right. And we're
You
doing
know, or maybe the one that you had about what position in Intercounty would you like to be interested in. Well,
Yeah.
people don't even know what positions are available.
Right. Right. So we kind of did the same thing this year. Our topic, what we're asking the kids to write about. Yeah. We want them to write about what's one thing you'd love to learn or get better at and why. So
Oh, wow.
would they...
One thing?
One thing. What's one thing they'd like to learn how to do or get better at? And it might be
Skydiving?
maybe they'd like to.
Well, you can't get better at it. Either you can do it or you
They
can't.
could learn it though. They could learn it.
And if you can't do it very well, you're going to go, ooh.
But maybe they'd like to learn a foreign language, or maybe they'd like to
Sure.
learn how to play a musical instrument, or maybe they want to get better at
athletics or
a sport that
maybe learn
they're.
how to drive,
Yeah, there's
swim.
There's not a right or wrong answer. We kind of just want to know, like, hey, what are you passionate about? What
And
do you?
that's the key word right there. What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
And
what-
how hard would it be to write something on what you're passionate
yeah.
about?
What do you want to know how to do? I mean,
Exactly.
and if they can't think of anything right away,
I want to be
they need to
6'5".
dream a little bit.
I don't know how I'm going to do that.
I don't know if that's something you'd learn,
Put
like
me
to
on the
learn how
rack
to
and
do.
let's see if we can stretch me out a little bit and get me up to 6'2".
Maybe,
It's probably temporary.
yeah, painful.
Very painful.
But I mean, there's got to be something that fuels these kids.
Sure.
What are they? They're juniors. They're getting ready to go into their senior year. Maybe they don't have any plans for what they want to do after high school yet, but it's not a bad time for them to start
No.
thinking about it. And do they want to go into nursing? Maybe that's something they want to learn. Do they want to go into auto mechanics? That's something that they might want to learn or get better at. So again, this year, not a right or wrong answer. Just, hey,
I think the word back that we want to use is passionate. What are you really wanting to do? What are you passionate about? Maybe you already have a skill that you want to excel in and not just be good at, excel in, and you don't know how to get to that next level. This is the perfect opportunity for a junior, only a junior now, to put that down in a 250 to 500 word essay, and then that could actually lead them to a position, you never know, if they get that opportunity to go either on a cycle trip or on the DC, where you might run into somebody there who's parent, or maybe you're going to go to DC and you can ask a question where they can help find you that person or organization or group that can help you excel. That's what it's all about, connections. And if you're passionate about something and you really want it that bad, it's amazing how many obstacles you can overcome to find that answer.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's a huge opportunity because, as you mentioned, there's a cycle trip, which is a trip to Jefferson City. And then there's the Washington, D.C. trip, which is out to our nation's capital.
Both outstanding.
Both outstanding. Both, let me tell you, Stan, both great, not just for like a really fun summer trip before your senior year, but these students remember, they've got to remember, and we remind them, and I'm sure their parents and counselors remind them too, but their senior year, they're filling out college applications and scholarship applications, and even if they're going straight into the workforce, job applications, to list that they went above and beyond and did something like this and was awarded one of these trips, that helps their application stand out, which is exactly what they're trying to do.
Which is exactly why you guys have the contest to begin with.
Right.
To give these youngsters a boost. It's an opportunity. Gee, I mean, I had nothing like that when I was in high school. I don't know about when you were in high school, but in my high school days, you were given essays to write for your English class. You got nothing except a grade,
Right.
But you needed a grade. Nowadays, things have changed a little bit where this isn't even required. It's optional, totally optional. You don't have to participate. But if you don't participate, you can't win. It's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. Well, if you don't write the essay, you can't win. You just can't sit there and say, I deserve to go.
Yeah.
First off, that's probably not going to work. I'm pretty sure it won't. Even if you do deserve to go, give them a reason or give them something that tells them about you, what you are passionate about, what you want to see better for you. How hard can that be?
Yeah. So what happens
Come on,
is,
Junior, step up.
right. What happens is they write this essay, the 250 to 500 words, about something that they would like to learn or get better at, and then the coordinator at the school is going to remove their names from those essays, and their cover sheet will
Blind
be
judge.
numbered. Yes, blind judge. And then a panel of teachers and staff at the school, they're going to read those essays. They're going to rank them. They'll determine the top 3. And then the top 3 come to us by the last day of February. And those students then are going to get a Q&A packet for an interview. And I was at Rala Radio yesterday, and I was trying to come up with, I said, if the thought of writing an essay didn't intimidate the kids enough, then when you say interview, some of them are like, oh, I'm out. We need to come up with a different word than interview. Maybe that sounds less intimidating.
It really is more of a discussion than an interview. I was part of that panel one time.
Were you?
And it really was more of a discussion.
Right.
I mean, you can see the kids are panicking. I mean,
Yeah.
when they get up there, because most of them have never even been on a job interview. Okay.
Right.
So when they get up there, they don't know what to expect. And they're expecting to be grilled. The hot light, the lamp right down on you, and you got 5 people around you going, all right, you need to know this answer or we're going to crucify you.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
It's not.
Pretty much it's just a discussion. They're going to ask you a few questions. They're general questions. They're not asking you for specifics, but they're asking you your knowledge. You got a Q&A thing, helps you, guide you, walk you right through it. If you have read it at all,
You're going to do okay.
you're going to do okay.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it, which unfortunately I know the time I was there, we had about 4 or 5 people. Well, I never really opened it.
So
How serious? So the first thing that tells me as a judge, how serious are you wanting to go to D.C. if you never even opened it?
yeah. So this Q&A packet, it's some questions and answers about intercounty specifically, but electric co-ops in general. And we make it super easy. We're giving you the questions ahead of time
And
and the answers. So the kids, like you said, if they've read over that, they kind of have a general idea. They show up the morning of the interview or the discussion, and they go one at a time before a panel of 3 judges. Most of the time, they're retired school teachers, they're business owners in the area. They are not, like you said, they're not trying to grill these kids and break them down so that they leave crying. They want to see them do well. They're going to ask them some questions. The whole thing takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not in there for a real long time. And then after each of the 3 from each school have gone, then the scores from that interview, those are compared amongst the 3, and whichever student had the highest score, they're awarded the trip to DC, and the other 2 are awarded the trip to Jeff City.
Which means there are no losers.
Right.
For those 3.
If you make top 3 at your school, you can take just a breath, breathe easy, because you just won.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to decide which trip you're
Right.
winning.
You've got nothing to lose because you're a winner. You may not be the grand prize winner, but you're still a winner. The Jeff City trip is an outstanding trip. The cycle program is fantastic. Yes, grant you, it's not DC, but it's not a consolation prize.
No, it's not at
it's
all.
it's a good trip. So the thing is, what I'm saying is, you go in there, you can be kind of free and easy. You just be yourself and answer the questions to the best of your ability. That's all they're asking. But most people are going to go in, and I get it, they're kids. They're going to go in there, and they're going to be shivering when they get in there, and they're going to, you almost see the blood drain out of their face when they walk in, like, oh, what are you going to ask me? Well, you had the Q&A booklet. You kind of know most of the stuff we're going to ask about, and you don't have to quote the answer. We're not asking you to. It's not
Word for word.
It's not like the FFA doctrine where you have to quote that whole
No,
thing.
not at
all
all.
you got to do is just summarize what you read. That's all you have to do. Really, very, very easy. But if you go in with the attitude, I got nothing to lose. I can't lose. I've already won.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Party for me, one way or another. Do I get to go in a big party or do I get to go in a smaller party? But it's still a party.
Yeah. And both are free,
And both are free.
which makes it even
You're
better.
killing me. You're
Yeah.
just killing me.
It's a big deal. And we're hoping, we've got to talk to the school, which means school's got to be back in session, but we're hoping they'll let some of the seniors, this year's seniors that went last year, that they will let them come and kind of help us present and talk about their experience, because I can stand in front of a group of kids and tell them how amazing this is, and some of them will still be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
sure.
whatever. But if one of the seniors comes in and says, hey, I got to go to Jeff City last year and we did this, this, and this, and it was actually really cool and I didn't have to pay anything, and now I'm putting this down on these scholarship applications, that they're going to listen to their peers more than they're going to listen to a couple of people from the co-op,
Right.
come and try to sell the essay contest to them. So hopefully we'll get some of those kids in there to help us present. But if not, we publish the list of last year's winners, and we encourage the kids to go and talk to them. Like, hey, if you ever run into so-and-so, ask them about their trip.
Yeah.
We know they would be more than willing to share about that experience. And nobody has ever come back and been like,
God,
"Wow,
that was stupid.
that was a waste of my time."
Yeah, that was. I didn't want to go to Washington Monument. I didn't want to go to Smithsonian. I didn't want to go there. That was just crazy.
And I will always
What?
remember, it's been about 10 years ago or so, there was a young lady from, wasn't from Salem schools, she was from one of the other schools, but she won the Jeff City trip. She was visibly upset at the judging day, very angry. We did not think she was going to show up to go. Her mother forced her. I mean, she was physically dragging her out of the car at our office to make her go to Jeff City. It was a very silent and awkward trip there.
Well, I'll bet.
And she was not happy. She was not happy to go. And you just kind of, the whole time they're gone, you think, oh, she's probably just miserable. And you feel bad for her a little. We go, we pick them up, totally different person, totally different young lady. She cried talking to us, told us how much she appreciated what we did. Her mom got there to pick her up. Her mom's crying. She's crying. We're crying. But she was very open with the fact that I did not want to go. My mother made me go, and it was the best thing that I could have done. And she'll still tell you it was a huge opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was not what I expected at all, and I'm still in touch with these people that I met, and it's helped open doors. And so we may have some people that have not wanted to go after they won the Jeff City trip, but we've never had anyone come back upset
After
that
the
they
fact,
win.
yeah. That was
So,
the
take that for what it is. It's a fantastic opportunity.
It
and
sure is.
both trips they're both free. They're both great resume builders, great experiences.
Gives them a chance to loosen up, too, with people their own age.
It does. And, you're making those connections, and even connections with the chaperones and the co-op world. And, maybe you're not going to go have a career at the co-op in the future. Maybe you've got a different plan. But those connections are important. And maybe it's that one of those co-op employees could be a reference for you in the industry that you want to go into.
Heather, we often talk about connections, especially and I say mostly in the business world. That's not necessarily true, but connections are huge. If you know somebody who knows somebody, it can open a door. It can enhance something you already have. It may be the avenue that you need to get to that quote-unquote goal you want to get to. We talked about improvement. Maybe even something you wrote in your essay. Like I say, you just don't know who's out there. And until you meet them and find out, well, yeah, my dad does that. I bet he can give you a reference. Bing, there's the light. And if he gives you a reference, then he can go. So you can go somewhere else, talk to that person. They can recommend you to somebody else who can possibly help you along the way. There's a lot of people out there that want to help younger people get started. It's tough out there. We all know it's tough. Some jobs are very difficult to get into. Some not so hard to get into, but most of those jobs people don't want to make a career out of. They just need that job to tie them over until they find what they're looking for.
That's right.
But those connections, my goodness gracious, you just cannot emphasize more how important they can be in your life. I'll give you a quick example. Well, the sportscasters around here, okay? We're all kind of a group. We have been, and we're the same group for the last 35 years, okay? So we're all kind of a little long in the tooth. Well, gentleman from West Plains, Harlan Hutchinson, was in. I've known Harlan since 1984. Okay, that's a long time. Their van wouldn't start. Okay? So they're out there in the cold. They can't even get in the van because the door's frozen shut, locked. He comes up to me, locksmith? I said, I know one, and there's only one in Salem.
Right.
And I said, but it's 10:30 at night, And he sitting out there with two other guys in his van. So I call and got the locksmith in, and they got it taken care of.
But maybe that was because
if
of
you'd
you
have been
and
in a
your
small
connection.
town, 10:30 at night, and your vehicle's locked out, you may be waiting for 2, 3, 4 hours, who knows, or they won't show up until the next day. What are you going to do? So just for him coming in, making a phone call, of course, locksmith has to be a friend of mine. He was over in 15 minutes. Pop, and go, off they go.
Yeah.
So sometimes that connection may not, we don't hang out together all the time. We've known each other for 40 years. And it helps to have friends, and it helps to have acquaintances in not only the business you're in, but also outside the business you're in. And so just by knowing one person, now he knows two.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
of who I know. So all of a sudden, that situation
Network
isn't
grows.
as desperate as it could have been for those three people from West Plains. And I'm not using that as trying to say that that's what this trip is going to do, but it can open those doors. How many people have you seen that I'm going to use, for example, Jason Smith went on this trip. Jason Smith really loved this trip to D.C. Guess where he is now? He's D.C. He is your representative. So he saw something in that made him want to do politics. Did he ever dream that he was going to be to D.C.? That was his goal, to get there. And it took him a while. Got to be state rep, but he lost his first race. He ran for school board and lost. That's the only race he's ever lost. So you never know what's out there, and you can learn things from these people. You're going to see some people that are going to answer questions, but also you're going to make other acquaintances that might, let's say, if you get interested in politics, maybe you're not interested in going to Jeff City, or maybe not even to Washington, D.C., but maybe your own locality. Maybe city government in Houston, or maybe in Rolla or St. James. Well, you got a little taste of it.
Yeah.
Now you kind of know what these people go through. Maybe it's going to spark your interest.
Right. And just that experience, you can't trade that. You can't buy it. And we'll have kids come back and tell us, even the ones that go to Jeff City, they've learned in their political science class how a bill becomes a law, like the process. Sure. We had a quiz over it. We had a test over it. We had a whole unit on how a bill becomes a law. But when they go and they get to sit on the House floor and they do it, they come back and they're like, it makes so much sense. Like, I'm not going to forget it now.
Yeah.
That experience.
That's why we're Show Me State.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
No, when people do it, actually do it. Walk through the process. It's now stuck in your brain. You understand it better. Reading it on paper, you may have an idea of how it's done. Do it yourself.
There's no connection there.
And when you do it yourself, now you know how it's done.
Yeah. Yep. You're absolutely right. And the kids that go to D.C., they come back and they'll tell us. Well, and some of them, you can do virtual tours of a lot of museums and monuments now. And so technology has really, it's changed how these kids can learn and what they have access to, but it still doesn't compare to being there in person and seeing it and standing in front of it. You can do a virtual tour of the Lincoln Memorial, but until you're there and you're standing in front of this just massive,
touching that granite,
it's different. And they'll tell us that. They come back, they're like, I had no idea Iwo Jima Memorial was so big. I always thought it was smaller.
On your phone, it's really little.
Yeah, so just that experience, even if you're not interested into going into anything political in the future, it's still beneficial.
I remember when I went to D.C. the first time, the first thing that really rang clear when we went on the tour of the Capitol, we were as a guided tour, is the echoes of the steps that people were taking.
Yeah.
If they had heels, or if they had, you had some senators and Congress people walking through, but you had secretaries walking through. If they had high heels, click, 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 and it would just resonate.
Yeah.
But the way it resonates, you can't put that into a recording.
It stayed with you.
You have to listen to it. And it goes not just into the rotunda, but it goes into the hallways. And then they go into the old Supreme Court chambers, if they let you in there. Now, that's not always available. But they hear the stories about that. And then you walk in there, and the smell. And I don't mean it's a bad smell, but I mean, you open it up, and it's old.
History.
It has that wood smell from its wood grain. It's incredible smell. And I can't smell much anymore, but I can smell that wood. And it's just something. So I'm trying to picture myself back in the late 1700s or early 1800s. I guess that's actually when the White House and the Capitol was all built. So not in the 1700s. Excuse me. I know better. But let's just say 1825. You didn't have light bulbs. You had lanterns. And I'm sitting there going, man, this would have been a pretty tight fit in here for the Supreme Court.
A lot of history.
So if you put yourself in the positions that those men and women were in back then, it really does kind of Well, it's kind of like getting hit right in the face with a boxing glove. Just gonna wake you up.
Yeah.
This is truly historic, and you may never see this again.
Yeah.
And you never know, a fire could come and, like we see that in California, and ravage those areas, and then you may never see it again. It can always, in one brief moment, be gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't pass it up.
Huge opportunity. So
Yeah.
we will be in the schools when schools start opening again. We'll get with the teachers, with those coordinators, we'll get everything rescheduled, get back on the calendar, cross our fingers that there won't be more snow days on those rescheduled days.
Right.
And we're going to be in there talking to the juniors. But if you're listening and you're a parent or a grandparent or an aunt, uncle,
the
neighbor,
neighbor.
whatever, if you know a high school junior, please encourage them to participate. Reach out, call our office if you've got any questions. There's information in the magazine this month.
Missouri Rural Magazine had this month, right?
Yep, and we'll have some more information, kind of a reminder next month in there also. We have got the information. We will get it to you so that you can not
Participate.
force, but strongly encourage your junior to participate.
And let's not say homeschool people, they are welcome.
Absolutely. So if you are a homeschooled student, if you are considered a junior, you can still participate. You'll turn your essay into the high school district that you reside in. So if you were attending public school, what district would you be in? And that's who you turn your essay into. And your name's taken off of it, and it's blind judged along with the other students. And then when those cover sheets are paired back up, we get the top 3, and then we'll start sending you
Fair
information.
chance for all
Yeah.
juniors.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
please. And all nine districts that Intercounty covers will be sending 3.
Yeah. So we have
Or
20
less if not that many people show. We don't want that.
We don't want that.
That's what we
no,
don't
we
want.
don't want that. But we send 9 to DC, and we can send up to 18 if they all go to Jeff City. It's pretty amazing.
I've tried to get on and they won't let me fill in a spot.
I know.
I've tried.
There's been
numerous
teachers that have said,
times. Yeah, well.
I'll
I
write
don't-
an
I don't-
essay.
I don't
I'll
blame
write
them.
an essay.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Anything else you want to talk about today?
Let me leave some contact information. Please feel free to call us if you ever have any questions about.
You guys have a phone number?
We do. We have a couple of phone numbers. But toll free, you can get a hold of us. It's 866-621-3679. Like I said, questions, anything we talked about today, maybe it's something that we didn't talk about that you have questions on, please just know you can always give us a call. We'll get you in touch with the right person.
And when you guys hold your get-together, not going to say an assembly. I'm trying to stay away from those words. But when you have your get-together with those juniors at the schools, please make sure your junior attends.
Yeah, absolutely.
you
I mean,
know,
hopefully most of the time, I don't think it's optional. Salem was the only one. They were a little unique in that they made it an optional assembly. So yeah, if
Okay.
you're a parent to a junior this year, I don't know if they're going to do it the same way or not, but do encourage them. At least come and listen. If for no other reason, get out of class, come listen to a couple of intercounty ladies talk about a trip they could win. Hopefully we can sell it, and then they'll.
You don't need to sell it. It should sell itself.
It should sell
It's a
itself.
free, mark my words here, free, capital Free, free trip to D.C. I mean, if you're not excited by that, smacking you down. Come
Yeah.
on. You need to be excited about that. And then, of course, it's a free, Free, free trip to Jeff City
Yeah.
with the cycle program. Again, free. Costs you 250 to 500 words of your time,
Yeah.
which is probably 15 minutes.
Yeah. Not very long.
And if you're passionate about something, it'll probably take you 5
yeah, you could pump it out pretty quick.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, please, if you're a junior, do participate.
Absolutely.
That's all we ask, and we don't want to have just 1 or 2 that qualify. Let's load up the box.
Yeah.
Let's make it hard for those people to
That's right.
determine those 3 people who will make those progressions to either DC or to Jeff City.
Great.
All right, very good. Great.
Stay warm,
Stay warm.
but not too warm with your space heater.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay. You got anything else? But we really wanted to thank, first off, before you leave, a big tip of the cap to all the linemen and
Thank
all
you.
the extra time put in by Intercounty.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. There's still some other co-ops that aren't even back
They're still
everybody
off.
yet.
Yeah.
So you should feel blessed that Intercounty has the people out there. So again, a tip of our cap to those linemen. That is,
Thank you.
and everybody else involved. It's not a sweet job when people aren't happy their electric is off and they're not the nicest at that time. And
Yeah.
you know,
we're
it does happen.
we're really fortunate. We like to think our members are better than other
Oh
co-op
no,
members.
yeah, I know, but I mean, but when somebody's in a crisis,
Yeah.
it can be panicky.
People can be panicky, but we do, you're thanking the linemen. I want to thank our members. They're very gracious and just very patient, and they are thankful, and they share those thanks. And we had throughout our service territory people offering to help as far as with meals and coffee. We had several places that said, hey, have your guys come in, grab some coffee, or places that are just the guys walk in, they're fueling up with gas, and there's just thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
We have really great members, and
Keep that up.
yeah,
Please keep that up.
Yeah.
Those guys need a pat in the back. And I know it's easy to go out there and when's my electric going to be back on? I mean, it really is. I mean, we all know that being cold
Yeah.
and you're not.
and they're not trying to make it take any longer.
No, trust me, they would like it all
Yeah.
working right all the way
Yeah.
through. Trust me, but we do have some great people in our area, and they're very cognizant of the fact
They are.
that it's cold out there, and these guys out in that freezing rain. It is not okay on a Friday night. That is not where I want to be. Is out fighting
Yeah.
lines freezing up, trying to keep them on and keep people warm, and that's basically what they're trying to do as quickly as possible.
Right.
And they're putting themselves out in that situation where it's still snowing or still raining, and they're trying to get it back on. So
Yeah.
again, I do thank linemen. It's not a safe job out there, and they do a tremendous job. And Intercounty's got, they could go somewhere else and make a lot more money maybe, but they're close to home where they want to live, and they do an incredible job. And again, and also the office staff too, because there's extra pressure
Thank you.
on the office staff. And of course, when the weather gets bad, trying to get into work. So again, we tip our cap to you
Well,
guys.
thank you.
You guys are very
Thank
committed to the cause of your members, which is staying nice and toasty in the winter, and have the lights on too,
With the lights.
and be able to cook that great meal,
Yeah. Here.
1 or 2 or 3 or 10. Holiday meals especially, man.
Yeah.
It's great. All right, very good. Heather, thank you again.
Thank
Always
you.
appreciate Heather coming in, spending some time with us, or any other member of Intercounty like Tony, or
We had Vanessa several months ago.
Vanessa has come
Yeah.
in. It's been a while.
We'll have to
for
bring her back.
Vanessa. Yeah, been a while. But yeah, and Kristen came over a few times. But it's been a while for Kristen. Matter of fact, when I saw her at the MRPC there, I said, "Are you still alive? I haven't seen you in a couple of years." Anyway, but no, great people in Intercounty.
Thank you.
Really do represent you very well, and their concern is for their members, and we really point that out. One last thing I do want to mention today is Operation Roundup Day. That we always want to remind people that how important Operation Roundup is. If you are having issues like Heather brought out with a furnace or things of that nature, no, they're not going to pay your electric bill, but they can help you out if you have a situation where you have a major expense like that coming up. Please, if you're suffering with that, please call them. Get the application for Roundup. It doesn't hurt. Fill it out. Send it in. Make sure you get in by the end of the month for qualify. Got to have it in by the end of January so they can look at it in February. So
That's right.
please do
Yep.
not pass up this opportunity. It is an incredible
It's a great program.
program that Intercounty started, and it was back somewhere around 2000, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right.
Yeah.
It's gotten bigger, and
gotten
it
really
is
big,
fantastic. So please take advantage of that opportunity. It's just not available everywhere, and so again, we thank our friends in Intercounty. They go above and beyond, and many times to try and make sure that they can help their members in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You did the whole plug.
Well, I don't mind doing a plug because I've seen it work.
Yeah, it is a great program, but we do need to know if there's a need. We have funds available. We have members every month, thousands of members that are rounding their bill up because they want to be able to help their neighbors, but we have to know where the needs are. So please call in. Let us know. We'll get you an application. And like Stan said, we do meet monthly, but today they'll be going over applications that they received throughout the month of December.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Heather, you drive careful going
I will,
back home.
thank you.
The road should be in pretty good shape. So
Yeah,
the
they
sun
are.
is out, sky is blue.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's not 65. It's
No.
not that extended spring yet.
I
but
know.
I know. You can
I'll
always,
take it.
You can always hope and dream. Anyway, keep it right here, KSMO. We have AP News coming up, statewide news from the Missouri Net, and then civic happenings all on the way right here. KSMO, Salem, Missouri, 1340 AM and 95.7. You also been streaming with us at KSMO Media. That's KSMORadio.com, KSMO Stream Facebook, and KSMO YouTube.